and turn like it's my fight or flight, like looking up at the sky. And there is so much more than meets the eye. And you said your life was black and blue, by keeping all the pain inside of you. I felt I wasn't enough. How can I call it hate emotional, taken in your sweet and considerate heart. Come into my world, give me your spark. Time to land and visit the planet. Give me your trust, I wanna make you sure I'm the reason to come back here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Week 6 of the Blue Otter Gold League. It is I, T.I. Romeo. With me today will be none other than the Literal Monkeys draft coach, Paka Paul. He's currently running Draft for Monkeys, and of course, this stream is being produced by the lovely Pop-Tart. Right away, we're getting some bands on the table. On the blue side, we have Tenebrous Esports Phantasm. And on the red side, we have the Literal Monkeys, who are in first place in the division. Of course, TE Phantasm repping third place. And we already got the first pick out, Jarvan, one of the most oppressive junglers right now in League of Legends. Somehow avoided the nerfs. We're playing on patch 13.7. Huge jungle changes. Wukong, massive nerf. Vi got nerfed. Olaf got nerfed. Kha'Zix got changed pretty hard. But Jarvan left perfectly untouched, still sitting at the top of the Jungle Kingdom. So a pretty big pick coming out fast from Phantasm. Gonna be interesting to see how Literal Monkeys adapts, as most of Jarvan's counters are not really as good as they used to be. Rakan coming out for their support pick here. Gonna be interesting to see what gets paired with that. Obviously, like Xayah is one of those solid picks that you can rep Rakan, get those little buffs that they get for being the cutest couple of all time. Although Rakan's been working his way with a lot of champions. Jinx, I think that's a really solid pick, especially with Cataclysm. Can kind of use that against Phantasm, especially if they pick some strong frontliners who might get caught in the way of that Cataclysm. They're going to bring out the Zeri, who can bob in and out of the Cataclysm, and the Heimer. That should be a really annoying bot lane for Literal Monkeys to play around. Of course, with Jinx and Rakan, they might just be content farming up alongside of it, but a lot of poke damage can come out if they overstep those turrets. Now, looking at what might be the jungle counter for Literal Monkeys before we move into the second half of this draft. We have about 5 seconds here to lock in that final pickup. They're going to go ahead and lock in a top laner, actually, in Malphite. Now, you can really tell with their draft so far, they're going to be playing around this Jinx. They have the Rakan, they have the Malphite. Probably going to see an AP pickup in the mid, maybe like a control mage or something that can work well with this Jinx and play behind that front line of Malphite Rakan. Although they are going to have to kind of hold that engage back for when Jarvan tries to go for that Cataclysm possibly in those team fights. Gwen, going to be banned away by Literal Monkeys. Yone taken down from Phantasm. Next ban, taking some time to decide here what is going to be their last ban of the match. Still some pretty strong champions left on the table. Of course, as well, we're not going to see it here most likely unless that Heimer's going to a different lane. But Milio is no longer disabled in the Gold League, actually in any of the Blue Otter Leagues as of today. So it could potentially be maybe a Heimer top and mid. We see a Milio brought out, although I don't think Milio Zeri's the greatest combo. Something to keep your mind on, though, as we go through this best of 3 series. The Ornn and Vega are going to be the two champions that are taken away from Phantasm and Literal Monkeys. Now, Monkeys have to decide what their last blind is going to be, whether they want to blind that mid or finally pick up something in that jungle. They're going to pick up the Lilia. That's going to be their strong AP threat. She's been coming a little bit into the meta in the most recent patches. I know I've been repping that in solo queue. I love the Lilia. I used to hate her for a long time, but she's gotten a lot better. She's less annoying to play against, although still repping some of the worst voice lines in League of Legends. She can be a big champion when it comes to leading the tempo of the game. Sion going to be the counterpick to Malphite, and Asol going to be their blind mid. A pretty strong team from Phantasm. Not necessarily sure how they're going to play team fights, because these are champions that kind of want to do very different things. But overall, in terms of looking at the laning phase and like the scaling of Phantasm, it does look pretty good. On the other side, Literal Monkeys looking to counter that Asol with a Swain, and they're going to lock it in. That's going to be the 5v5 we see. So just to reiterate, we got the Malphite for Monkeys taking on the Sion. We're going to be having the Lilia jungle taking on Jarvan. Could be really interesting, could be really tough for that Lilia, especially if she ends up getting caught in a flag and drag or a Cataclysm. Does make it a little bit harder for her to play, but if some of the flashes from her, definitely some nice sleeps could be landed here, especially onto that Zeri. as we go to the mid lane, we have Asol versus Swain. That should just be a pretty tame lane. I think Swain's going to be looking for a lot of poke damage on the Asol, but overall, they're just looking to scale up. And then that bot lane of Zeri Heimer taking on Jinx and Rakan. If Rakan can land some nasty dives onto that Zeri when there's not a lot of turrets up, it could potentially be a pick for Literal Monkeys, but with how oppressive Heimer turrets can be, unless they can get a good freeze in, it's going to be really tough for anything to happen in that bot lane. We are currently looking at what might be a lot slower paced of a game outside, well, even in top lane, right? It's Sion Malphite. You're really looking for your junglers this game to be making a lot of the impact across the map. Probably going to be focused in, well, for Phantasm, I imagine they'll be looking towards that bot lane if they can. For Monkeys, there's not a lot you can really do, especially with Lilia running into Heimerdinger turrets. They might be looking at that Sion, trying to abuse the Sion the best they can, try to take down XMB as much as possible to really make an impact on that Rift, really get the AP damage. Because for the most part, although they do have a Malphite Swain, they're going to be the big chunk of AP on their team. On the other hand, Jinx, if Jinx falls behind, that means they'll be heavily lacking in any attack damage on their team. They need that Jinx to be protected. They need that Jinx to scale up. So it's also possible that we might see Zoomer just try to run counter on that bot lane and just try to out-farm the Jarvan. Definitely a very possible thing. Jarvan, on the other hand, you imagine he wants to be making an impact. He's not going to be farming as quickly as Lilia. The thing is, with the way the lanes are, it's going to be really tough to see this Jarvan make an impact. The real name of this game is going to be over the objectives and the middle of the game fights, right? Of course, Heimer and Zeri are champions that would prefer to be at the pits first, get those Heimerdinger turrets set up, and really force the team of Literal Monkeys to play into them. Whereas Literal Monkeys, they have some decent engage tools as long as they don't get completely shredded on the way in, and they can stop Zeri before she pops off and starts running around the rift. But to do that, they have to get through Sion, they have to get through Jarvan, and of course, Asol, once you start getting to that 30-minute mark, once they get the Sky's Descent, can be a monster in the team fights. It can be really, really difficult for them to really do anything. Now, in the call right now, I do have the guy who just drafted for Literal Monkeys, none other than Paka Paul. Paka, you want to explain the draft? I don't usually have the draft coach in Calder Draft. You want to explain how you want them to play this game?
So the idea behind this draft here, as I'm trying to organize my camera one moment, the idea behind this draft here is that we have a lot of tools to go in on them, but we do still have to protect a Jinx here. Fortunately, when they look at their draft plan, their only really huge dive tool is Jarvan, as Sion is more of like a front to back engage tool. So the biggest note I left for my team here is Rakan. Don't get too trigger happy. If Rakan gets too trigger happy and tries to jump over our front line, that leaves Jinx with not a lot of peel. But I think if Malphite and Lilia are able to lead these engages and Rakan is able to like support our Jinx in dealing damage, fights will go really well for us. And now for the side of TE, I do feel that like they have a comp that operates like independently of any bigger ideas. Zeri is a champion that's really slippery. Heimerdinger basically can peel for himself. Aurelion Sol is so tanky with that Roa and Archangels, and I mean, Sion and Jarvan are just these absolute behemoth of bruisers. So the advantage that they have is that they don't have to be that coordinated to still make things happen really successfully. So we'll have to see how Monkeys handles TE's very like dynamic comp.
Now, do you think obviously there's a lot of scaling picks on both these teams, right? There's the Asol and Zeri who's going to be looking to do a lot going to the mid game. You got the Jinx, even like Lilia, she scales pretty hard. Yeah. Do you think that Monkeys are looking to try to just scale up for that mid late game and play around objectives, or are you looking for them to do anything inside of the laning phase? Maybe try to bully that Zeri, maybe try to get some picks on that Sion, maybe pick off the Asol. What are you looking for them to do when it comes to the laning phase of this game?
So I think one thing that this team does absolutely, no matter what, draft doesn't matter. There will be blood. There will be fighting. They will go for solo kills. And maybe it's because I'm coaching them. I am not a believer, even if we're playing competitive in gold, in plat, in diamond. I'm not a big believer that we need to farm it out for 20 minutes in team fight. There will be blood. And it's just because it's how they play. They love to play that way, and I try to enable it as much as they can. So definitely not a scaling game here. At least I hope. At least I hope.
Now, we are, of course, in the spectator delay. Before we go ahead and go to an intermission to load into the game, I'm going to ask you two questions here. First off, I know this one's going to be biased, but do you think Literal Monkeys takes this game, or do you think this one's going to TE Phantasm?
Obviously, this is biased, so I'm gonna say monkeys. But I will say this is my most like I am most excited for this match tonight. All season, we haven't had teams really test us, and we did play this team very early in the season in scrims, and they definitely like found our weaknesses and were able to punch through and get some wins against us. So I'm gonna say monkeys. I mean, I'm a biased supporter, right? I'm their biggest fan. I gotta be, but it'll be a close one, I think.
And the second question I got to ask you, a little bit less, a little bit less intense than I thought. You actually are thinking this one might be a fight, which makes it really interesting, especially considering top of the table. You guys, your only match loss, never lost a series. You didn't lose a single match to Mystic Esports Hydra in the season, and then came back with a hard stop that the follow up game to get the 2-1 series. But my final question to you here is going to be: what soul do you think is in this game? What soul do you think we're getting?
I'm just gonna go Cloud Soul. Why not? Why not?
A Cloud Soul believer!
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear! He's on
Lilia likes
point.
to go fast. Malphite likes to run at people. Rakan goes fast. There's Monkey's bias in
Jinx!
Soul Draft.
Jinx!
Jinx!
Jinx
We get
gets
excited. I'm excited. Are you?
No, I'm in for a Cloud Soul. I love it. We're gonna go ahead and go to intermission while we load it, and we'll see you guys on the rip. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rift for Game 1 of Temenebrous Esports Phantasm, taking on the Literal Monkeys. Once again, I'm joined by Paul. How are you feeling at the start of this right now?
Disappointed. Where's the level 1?
Oh, true. Also, why is Jinx and Rakan standing together, bro? You didn't trade them right.
I know, it's so disappointing. The 5 points a mess. There's no invade. I'm already, grim start, but they'll turn it around. I'm sure.
Now, of course, looking at these champions, I don't see anything too weird. Asol is rocking first strike. Other than that, I think it's pretty normal. Of course, Zeri electing to go cleanse over heal. Going to be trying to cleanse a few things on your side. Probably that sleep. Trying to see what you can cleanse, actually. It's not too much. I guess a Rakan charm as well. But overall, we're getting to see Lilia starting bot side, Jarvan starting top side. They're going to be pathing against each other. How do you feel about Zoomer's pathing so far?
I mean, it's probably just going to be a standard full clear if I were to guess. Jarvan, obviously, starting in the top side, has the opportunity to maybe cheese this Malphite out of a flash or even a first blood. So we'll have to see what Jarvan does here starting top side with no leash. Trying to keep himself hidden.
Completely leashless. Of course, with no early invade from your guys. No vision control on where Jarvan could be starting. Of course, without bot having the meta spin, it wouldn't be too surprising for Antion and 19 Naked Cowboys to believe that Anna Wintour might be going to that bot side early on.
Yeah, honestly, I think it'd be a really good choice for them trying to put that Jinx behind, especially since she lacks that mobility. As long as they find that EQ on Jarvan, I think she's as good as dead for the most part. So, again, if they can put that Jinx behind early, it'll spell some trouble for Monkeys.
Much like considering Jinx is your only AD, right? If Jinx doesn't get the opportunity to really scale until significantly late in the game, they can run some fights by just building magic resist.
Yeah, that is true, and honestly, that does bring you to a point of what type of itemization Swain and Lilia are going to go as well, because they're both Liandry's users typically, so I have to wonder if there's going to be a double Liandry's coming out, or if it's going to be maybe a Roa from one of them as well, to try to change up their damage type a little bit.
Absolutely could be the case. Although it is something you don't typically see, especially down in this elo. There's usually like standardized builds that people often go right now. Chinese Spy kind of kicking XMB's ass, getting a big trade here. Kind of came out on the losing end towards the end of it though. He is set up nicely if Lilia does come up top though. Not a lot of health for him to play with, although he's going to be looking. He got the knock up, could have looked for a kill there, chose that the wave was too big, and is going to let Chinese Spy leave. He's going to be taking that back, TPing back to the lane. In mid here, a big gank from Anna Wintour, but Pyramid Boy still going to find first blood, and Flag and Drag still going to be enough to take down Pyramid Boy, but trading the 1-for-1, a strong trade from Literal Monkeys early on.
And you love to see the flash forward with the gank coming through. Most people get scared and try to fade away, but Pyramid Boy decides, you know what? I'll trade my life out. It's my time to shine. And he goes in and he makes the play. And he flips heads and it looks good.
Yeah, of course, a big risk, big reward play, but in the bot lane here, Rakan going in deep, exhaust Fox Death Bro. Jinx trying to clean it up, but Rakan's the one taking a lot of damage. There's a flash away as Grim Defier and Antion are going 1-for-1. Zeri doing a little bit more damage, finds a double kill onto the bot lane of Literal Monkeys.
And there will be fighting. And it looks like there's a quick misstep from the Jinx and Rakan, and Grim Defier just absolutely capitalizes on them, walking forward without her support and just dominates the 2v1.
It was definitely looking strong for Literal Monkeys at first, but after Rakan started taking a lot of damage, there was a 1v1 from the ADCs, and we found that Zeri, oh my god, a stun onto IT Zoomer, a bit of a misgank here, nowhere to run, and now Bambi goes down as well, and it's a 3-0 lead for the Zeri.
Sometimes you make a decision as a jungler. It's a little crazy. Yeah. It's a little crazy. And you flip tails. That wasn't one of those decisions. I don't know what MIT Zimmer was thinking there. And
are you saying it was like a two-sided coin and they were flipping tails no matter what?
I think so. But I mean, nonetheless, Grim Defier has a huge gold lead now on this bot lane, and is coming back with a Noon Quiver and a Vamp Scepter. And that honestly is just going to give the Zeri so much time to scale for free and so much control of that lane.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be difficult, and especially a 3-0. And here we go, Anna Wintour's going to find a gank on a Pyramid Boy, finds their second kill of the match as well. These lanes are starting to find a real footing here from TA Phantasm, looking for that upset against you guys. Of course, undefeated in series could all change today if things continue the way they're going.
I mean, absolutely, and it looks like the Jarvan's finding those early plays, trying to come back and repunish that Swain flash. And I mean, the winning 2v2 is something you always like to see out of your team.
Chinese Spy completely caught out, flashing away, but getting stayed on top of by Sion. Doesn't really have a lot to run. The ultimate is found, though. He is able to use that unstoppable force to get out if he needs it. Bot lane still fighting after that dragon was picked up by Literal
Does he have
Monkeys.
the mana?
He might not here. It's a very low mana bar, but the camera cutting away to bot lane. Doesn't think anything's going to happen. And Chinese Spy does get away. Did use the ultimate to leave.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there is enough mana for him to get out there alive, but scary scenes early on for Monkeys, as it looks like T are just playing a solid fundamental game here and doing exactly what they're supposed to do to generate these early leads.
However, here comes a gank from mid lane. Pyramid Boy looking to claim that bounty onto this area if he can find it. But with the Heimerdinger being so good at peeling this area. Oh, wait! He finds the root! Rakan gonna knock them up, but here comes Anna Winters for the counter gank on the mid laner. And now it is Literal Monkeys who are being forced to run away from TA Phantasm. Rakan gonna be caught out pretty hard. However, Swain in the back lane, going after Grim Defier. Is he gonna find it? It's looking good. There's the shutdown. Staying on top of Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger still trying to get away here. But here comes Antion. Antion helping do a lot of damage. Jarvan coming back in up top, though. Asol and Sion trying to punish. They know where Literal Monkeys are, and they're trying to capitalize on killing the Lilia, but Lilia going to glide away. At the end of that, Literal Monkeys looking good. Just a nice bounty claim by that Swain.
It is a really big bounty claim for that Swain getting to accelerate his game, because once he becomes strong enough to not really care about the damage he's taking, he can go in and play so aggressive with that ultimate. So it's a really big pickup for Monkeys, but nonetheless, Romeo, how much fighting did you think that was gonna happen when I said there was going to be a lot of fighting this game?
Now, I'm not gonna lie. In draft, before you joined, I was calling that this game looks pretty slow. You look at the champions, a lot of these people just want to farm. But once again, another fight happening in this mid lane. Both these teams, Literal Monkeys and TA Phantasm, you guys are just not shying away. It's like you guys are in a gladiator pit, just fighting with sticks and stones until somebody's battered to death, and it's making for an entertaining match. 8 minutes in, 7 kills. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't, but I get to see it every single game. So, this is standard stock stuff so far, but I mean, it's good to see another team want to fight as well, because I feel like Phantasm have been really looking. And excuse my slight bias, I'm trying my best not to be, but it is really good to see TE come in and come back and fight with us as well. Having that Jarvan really be active on the map, it's like impressive to see. Even with Asol, like they made a play with Sion ulting down River just to try to catch out the jungler. And there is another fight. I don't know how low he's gonna fall though.
It's a little bit hard considering Heimer has rotated. There's 4 of them on that Rift Herald. It's not really a lot that Chinese Spy can do. The first time taking a fight that was looking pretty good for him. But going back to that strategy of fighting, I think it's really interesting, especially in gold, to see teams like that. Because oftentimes in iron, bronze, you see people, if it's red, it's dead, they don't really incorporate a lot of farming. But on the same time, when you look at like Challenger Korea, you see, although there's a lot of farming, and farming is very well efficient and oftentimes perfect farming from a lot of the ADCs and whatnot, you do see a lot of times people opt into earlier game picks so they can try to control the map, so they can go for a lot of trades, even if it doesn't result in kills. And I think that's something both you guys have been trying to do on each other. But when you have 2 teams constantly clashing for that pressure, there is a lot of blood, there is a lot of kills, there's a lot of sums burned, and it makes for this really interesting style that you often don't see in gold leagues.
Exactly, and I think that's something that Monkeys, at least specifically, are always trying to emulate. Though we are trying to emulate pro play, we're not professional players. Actually, it looks like there's a 4-man play down here again. If the camera's going to pan back over.
They're looking for the dive on Zeri. Heimer backing behind enemy lines. He is spotted out, though, by the Lilia. MIT Zoomer is able to sleep, but they're not going to have to, as Fox Step Pro doing as much damage as he can. doesn't go down as Jarvan comes in with the Cataclysm. Fox Step Bro still alive somehow, but Anna flashes away, still alive as well. But here comes Pyramid Boy looking to clean it up. Fox Step Bro goes down. Anna Winter's trying to flag and drag out. Not quick enough. And now it is the Ace Soul getting caught out. Never Move comes out. Rakan going in. Ace Soul gonna go down as well. And he's still on Grim Defiler with all that health. But the tower shot's gonna be a little bit too much for him. Not gonna be able to find the kill on Zeri. But after a big 3 kills come out, Lilia gonna find 1. Swain gonna find 2.
And it's so scrappy. Every single moment, the fight flips back and forth. We see TE trying to take the lead, and the monkeys come back through, but then another re-engage happens out of nowhere, and just like that, it's a bloodbath. And if you saw, 3 of the monkeys players had maybe under 10% HP at the end of that fight, that easily could have gone the other way for TE.
Now, I imagine you have to be pretty happy seeing that fight. Of course, you guys were down pretty hard, 5-2. Now, the gold gap, less than 500 gold away, although that Herald placed mid. If your team can stop it from crashing, that's a lot of gold prevented. Swain looking to prevent it himself. Gonna hit the eye on the back. I'm just really curious to see if it's gonna go down. It looks like it is. And that's Herald wasted from TE Phantasm. Could be a huge misplay.
Yeah, and maybe they were just running out of time and they needed to throw it down, but they do get Drake from it, so I guess it's not a huge misplay actually at the end of the day.
Yeah,
they use it to pull monkeys off Drake, and that's okay. It's okay enough, I feel.
It would have been a little bit nicer if we could have got past that wave, so it would have got the crash as well. But them getting Inferno Dragon is a big dragon to claim. Now, it is going to be Ocean Soul. Unfortunately, we're not getting that highly contested Cloud Soul we were both hoping for. But Ocean Soul does still bring some strong prospects to both these teams, especially when you're looking at it, the Swain. Swain with Ocean Soul. Why don't you break that down for me, Paka?
Yeah, Swain with Ocean Soul is a disgusting combination. He's constantly dealing that damage and already healing within his kit, so it's constantly ticking every time he deals damage with that Ocean Soul and that passive Ocean healing as well. He just stays locked into fights for so long now. And the same can actually be said for Zeri, as Zeri with the shield bow and all of this healing she tries to go in her kit, she heals a considerable amount as well. She usually is paired with an enchanter that really enables that to be kind of the crazy Zeri 1v9 moments, but I think Ocean Soul on a Zeri as well kind of makes her that without an enchanter, which is really good.
Oh, wait a minute, here comes the curtain call. Rakan going in, looking to kill off Fox Step Bro, but Jarvan coming in, same with Lilia, a huge fight. There goes Fox Step Bro, but MIT Zoomer cost his life to get it. Meanwhile, in the backline, Jinx and Rakan able to find that kill on Jarvan as the camera cuts the top lane. Swain was also moving down. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to find that Zeri. Does look like he wants to dive, but the ping's being sent out. But he's going to be headed back to that mid lane to stop Ace Soul from getting too much free farm. Overall, a net positive play from literal monkeys.
And it seems like the gold lead has finally been taken away from TE as the game starts to even up. And I think we're really starting to see the story that's forming here in this game of what will we see out of this Swain versus what will we see out of this Zeri in these team fights. I think keeping eyes on them throughout these team fights as this game gets later and later is becoming like the keynote of this game.
I do have to agree with that. One thing that could be really interesting, though, is when TE Phantasm gets their hands on some heal cut. You imagine that has to be coming up, whether it's out of the Jarvan, whether it's out of the Sion, whether it's out of the Heimerdinger. That heal cut is going to be completely necessary for taking down Swain as we get later in the game, especially as Ocean Dragons start to come into play.
Absolutely, Romeo. And that is the most interesting thing I see, especially out of gold, is what teams decide to do with that heal cut. Because I do see a lot of times, as actually Fox Step Bro might be caught out.
A never move. He's going to find the root on Fox Step Bro. No turrets to save him. Rakan there. Even the Super Mega Death Rocket brought out, but Pyramid Boy finds another free kill in the top lane now. Chinese Spy taking advantage of the lane. He wasn't able to do it early on, but these last few minutes, he's been completely going at it. Tries to find the kill. Has to flash away, and here's Anna Wintour looking for Chinese Spy. Nowhere for Chinese Spy to go. No ultimate up. No flash up. Now, there is Lilia on the way, but it's too late. Chinese Spy already down. Lilia could look to clean up, but it doesn't look like she wants to. Knows that Ace Soul's not in mid lane. Is going to find her way out of there.
And honestly, it feels like we go from talking about one fight, and before we can even finish, we're on to the next. We're on to the next. It's 15 kills in 15 minutes in this game one between TE and monkeys, and it doesn't look like we're gonna stop anytime soon. Yeah. I just hope Ace Soul feels okay trying to scale at 0-2 and 2. He's just trying to hit his waves, probably panicking behind his keyboard.
Every minute, another soul taking to that gray screen. You're talking about a soul trying to scale here. Does have 106 cosmic stacks, and as they look to try to start their own fight on Pyramid Boy, does not work out for them. They are forced to flash away as Swain's got that tower control. Burnt his ultimate. Both ultimates burnt there. And Heimer and Jarvan moving towards that Herald. They are in key position, though, on the bot side to tower dive this Zeri. Can they find it without any casualties, or are they going to drop it? It looks like they're walking away just to set up Dragon control.
Yeah. It does look like they're going to be trading Dragon for Rift here. And I will say, I really like this play from TE, trying to go on multiple people onto this Swain to kind of push him out of mid lane and take control of that mid priority. Because what that allows them to do is kind of have control over whatever side of the map they want, especially when they know that monkeys aren't around at the time. I think the only way you can kind of get that 400 gold bounty off of Swain at this point is if you make a play together. And we see TE trying to do that actively, and I think that's going to be a really key point for them in the time between objectives.
However, right now, Fox Stepbro got caught trying to stop the back of Pyramid Boy. Does not have the tankiness to survive the onslaught from literal monkeys. They are also looking for Anna Wintour. The Drowsy comes out. They do put her to sleep. However, that's a big Cataclysm going to find MIT Zoomer. However, they still go down to Pyramid Boy. Chinese Spy goes down to Belby now. A lot of blood being shed in this mid lane. Here comes Zeri. Zeri is coming. The hero has come along. They're looking for Pyramid Boy. Can they find him? No. Pyramid Boy going to get away. Even 19 Naked Cowboy's going to get away. Never mind. Ram Ranch too far to go as Rakan goes down. Wait, there's a Super Mega Death Rocket. It's flying, flies past everybody. Doesn't find any connection. That Dragon's still up. That mid tower going to fall.
19 Naked Cowboys desperately trying to find Ram Ranch there as the Scion ultimate comes down, and it's a little too far away from him. And it does look like this gives TE complete priority over this Drake here. I think this might even just be a free Drake. I think monkeys are going to try to rush out of base, but I doubt they'll be in time.
No, the ASOL damage to objectives a little bit too much to deal with when you're trying to run from that base. ASOL, honestly, ever since the rework, has been one of the best champions at getting objectives, but they are punishing XMB. XMB does fall. They find something for the Dragon. It's not completely free. A fight breaking out, a huge ultimate from ASOL. Pyramid Boy chunked out right away. Is he going to go down? No, he does find the kill on Fox Stepbro. They find the kill on Belby. Jinx is excited. They are running through Zeri and Anna Wintour running for their lives from the literal monkeys. Zeri stopping at the tower. That might not be the best decision. She knows she needs to run, but how far is she going to be able to get? There's the unstoppable force, and Zeri going to go down to that Jinx as it's handed over to Antion.
Wow, and you have to think after that huge ultimate from Aurelian's Soul coming down that the fight is just doomed for monkeys, but there's a broken stopwatch in Pyramid Boy's inventory, and it looks like that made the difference in that fight as he was able to heal up in Zanya's, and it completely shifted the fight back towards monkeys.
Yeah, it was a big opportunity to go golden there. Life was on the line in those moments, but being able to use it, of course, the ultimate's still going to be going off while he's golden. Still get some damage, procs off, and then with the abilities being reset, was able to completely annihilate Belsby and Fox Stepbro to turn the fight into the literal monkey's favor.
Yeah, and I mean, we're at 24 kills in 18 minutes, Romeo. We've eclipsed the 1 kill per minute marker that most bloody games have. We are in chaos, but actually, going back to what we talked about really early in the game about the AP itemization on both sides here, are you interested to see that we have a double Leandries here in a standard build, or were you actually expecting anything else out of any of these AP people followed, like Aurelian Soul as well? Were you expecting maybe a Leandries, or does Roa make sense to you?
I think Roa does make sense. I think you do want tanky, like a little more of a tanky build into this style of team, right? There's a lot of damage you're playing into, especially with the double AP. What I am going to be interested to see, though, is whether or not they do decide to use a lot of money onto getting some magic resist into these teams, right? You got the Leandries, you got a very fed Swain, a very fed Lilia, but the problem is after that last team fight, Antion found quite a bit of kills. They're in this game, they're pretty well matching Zeri at this point. You look at the total gold there, and they're only 400 gold behind Zeri. So there is a lot of damage threat, and it's going to make these team fights super hard to play for T Phantasm.
Yeah, especially since their comp feels like it's quickly turning into Aurelian Soul and Jarvan want to go in, especially Heimerdinger as well, maybe want to go in and quickly burst someone out. where Zeri kind of just wants to work over a longer period of time. And when you're ahead, that feels really good because Zeri can dash in with you and create a really explosive play. But now that the game is more at an even state, and Jarvan and potentially, I mean, Asol and Sion can get blown up at the start of a fight, maybe Zeri won't have enough time to really like cook, build those stacks, and become this super powerful, unkillable Demon King.
Absolutely. Now, right now, the Roa almost finished for Asol at 9 minutes. And here we go. Flag and direct to a Cataclysm. Everyone gonna find their way out. Of course, Antion had to burn that flash. But now a 4v2, sorry, under that mid lane. Lilia comes along, though, to back up their bot lane, and they're feeling awfully brave, looking into the faces of 4 key members of T Phantasm. And MIT Zoomer still looking to see if they can find anything. Could have hit a 3-man Drowsy, doesn't elect to go for it, but they do claim mid control despite being the tower down. Oh, wait, here we go again. They might have found Fox Step Bro. They're looking for it. And there's Rakan in the face. The Super Mega Death Rocket does find Fox Step Bro. And even under a tower, TE Phantasm not going to survive. Nor is Zoomer, though, after a beautiful Asol Sky descent. There's the Unstoppable Force picking up the other 2 in the 4 of T and Phantasm. And it's only Belby left standing for Phantasm. The blue side feeling a little rough. They're going to lose a turret. They lose a lot of gold. A gold swing heavily into the favor of Literal Monkeys.
Yeah, and TE Phantasm earlier go in on this center, like go in on the Literal Monkeys bot lane as this strong group of 4, and it barely doesn't pan out for them. But the very, very extended counter engage from Literal Monkeys finds them a bunch of kills and a bunch of gold. Now, with that said, there was no objective really to be taken from that, and it is just a gold trade with Drake coming up. But what's important to note here is a lot of flashes are down on the side of Literal Monkeys, making that gold play. Whereas TE have all of their carries flashes besides Jarvan. So I think there's a trap here that TE can set up, and they can go to take this fight knowing they have these flashes up and try to use those to their advantage.
On the other hand, though, Jinx is coming back with IE. She is the only ADC here to have completed that critical item. Of course, Navori's and Infinity Edge have been a huge part of this season. Whichever ADC can build it first, and especially having that advantage in a fight, can swing a lot of damage into their favor.
It absolutely can. If they can't find the Jinx, she will just be ripping through the health bars of TE. But that's the goal here. Can Jarvan or Sion find the backline?
They are going to start here. Rakan in deep, found the Zeri. She's going to go down right away from the Super Mega Death Rocket. So is Sion. So is Anna Winters. It is a complete smash here from Literal Monkeys. They are going to continue jumping on the bed and in the faces of Team Phantasm as they get an ace for nothing.
And that's the ace, Romeo. Lilia stepping too far forward. They think it's a trap. They try to go in on her, but Rakan comes from behind and finds a 3-man charm that creates a huge sleep for Literal Monkeys out of that Lilia pick. And just like that, it's devastating. The rocket comes through on time. The Swain's able to get there and follow up on the damage. And at that point, you just have to hold your hands off your keyboard. You're stuck in the CC bounce house. You're stuck in the sleep. You're going to bed, and there's nothing you can do on the side of TE.
Of course, all the CC found Grim Defier, which was critical, because had it not found the Zeri, they might have still had a chance, but because it found Zeri and the Rakan was instant to dive in and get on top of it, it's a free Baron, it's a free Dragon, and it is 6,000 gold in total in the favor of Literal Monkeys.
Yeah. And with that Baron power play coming up, we have to wonder how they're going to set up. If it's going to be a 1-3-1, are they just going to prep waves right now and set up in a 4-1? And the most important thing TE has to do there is respond as best as they can. If TE want to find their way back into this game and create a more neutral state for that Aurelion Sol and Zeri to scale up, it has to start with finding a pick on this power play.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy thing to do, especially considering Literal Monkeys are going to be doing the best they can to get this map in a favorable position for them. All game, they've been down a couple of towers, but the map felt pretty neutral overall. Here's their chance to really start working and open up the enemy jungle in total to become theirs. And they're already looking on Grim Defier. A big fight in this mid lane. It's a 3v3, but it does look like that Jinx is a little bit stronger than Zeri. Look at how much damage Zeri took, too, from the Leandries of Lilia. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Asol is bringing it to Chinese Spy. Maybe the pick could be found in a 1-for-1 side lane. Chinese Spy going to retreat back to base.
Yeah, and it looks like these are the lane assignments that TE want. They're stuck in the 1-3-1, but they actually have a flip-flop matchup where Swain is just hitting this Scion over and over again to no success. And the Asol is winning the 1v1 against this Malphite who has mostly armor in his inventory. And without the ability to really dive this Central 3, it looks like this Baron power play is being absolutely stonewalled by now because of these lane assignments.
Overall, I would have to agree with you, but they are still looking for something in the mid here. But Acel has rotated. It still makes the fight hard if it's a 3v4 against Literal Monkeys, despite being ahead. However, if they can find the turn, it's going to be big news for them. Malphite slowly rotating over to that mid lane. We might see a big 4v4 breakout. It would favor Monkeys if it were to happen, considering they have the Baron empowered minions on their side. Wait, there's a big sleep onto Zeri. They're looking for it. She does cleanse it, but a knock-up and shard from the Rakan. A ton of damage broken out, but they do find the turn. The flash is out. Acel picking off two of them. They do find Heimer. They do find Jarvan. And they find Zeri as well. There's two members of Phantasm left standing. Still three on the side of Literal Monkeys as they try to encapsulate that third tower in the mid lane. They're not going to find it, but they do knock over the second one. I think they're feeling pretty good after that fight.
I think they have to be, and I mean, they end up getting something out of this power play. They get that tier 2 tower, they get some kills. Again, the gold lead is just growing and growing, and it's feeling more and more difficult for TE to find the right plays. But what I will say is that overall, if you told me after the absolute demolishing at Drake 4 that this was just going to end up being a tier 1 bottom, a tier 1 top, and a tier 2 mid, I think you're happy being this structurally sound still as TE after a Baron power play even.
It's certainly not the worst position to be in. It could have been a lot worse, especially if they were able to find those kills earlier in the mid lane. However, now they have to decide, do we fight this dragon or do we risk putting Literal Monkeys on Soul Point? They are looking to try to gear up to go through bot lane to find that fight on Ocean Dragon. However, they only have a minute to really get into position if they elect to take it.
Absolutely. And to slow the game down a little and to give you actually a question, how do you feel if you could draw the dream fight for TE? What does it look like to get back into this game, to find a way back in?
I mean, Jinx needs to go down, right? I think you're desperately looking for any bit of CC you can. Maybe, ideally, you gotta pick before you go in, and it's on that Jinx. You get a 1,000 gold bounty onto your Zeri. I think it also could be nice if you can find a way to get the Lilia down, as it just feels like those two are the ones running through your team. Pyramid Boy did their job early game, but right now it's just been Lilia and Antion's game. And they are kind of fighting it right now with a little bit of damage on that Zeri from the Heimerdinger. Now, I'm going to ask you the same thing. What do you think you want to see from Literal Monkeys when it comes to taking this dragon?
Again, it's back to the fundamentals of not being too trigger happy on the engage, especially with the Rakan. The Rakan was patient all game and has been playing off of our primary engage, which is Lilia. And if Lilia or Malphite find it in, we go in and we go crazy. But just being patient and making our primary engage actually take the primary engage and not forcing anything is all you need to do from this gold point, I think.
And speaking of not forcing anything, they were able to get that dragon for free. Maybe you can find Anna Winter here. They do finally see her in that bush. But she's already out. She's good to go as Baron is spawning in 55 seconds.
Yeah, and it's just setup time for Literal Monkeys trying to get these waves out, trying to get control of some of this topside jungle of TEs. And after that, just trying to force maybe not a 50-50 because I think you're ahead enough where you don't have to. But even if you can't find the pick, the option to turn isn't that bad of an option for Literal Monkeys, as TE are kind of afraid to walk in at this point, seeing how strong Lilia and Swain are as sources. You can't really take these champions down and one-shot them. They take time.
Absolutely not. Swain was in that bot side, though, pushing. They didn't elect to take the fight. Could have maybe found a 5v4, but instead they're backing to clean up that wave. 20 seconds to Baron. We're in a very interesting position in the Rift. It feels like there's not a lot TE Phantasm can do without finding a pick, other than just scaling. But the longer they scale, the more objectives they drop, the less of the map they're going to be able to have control over.
Yeah, and I mean, at least for Literal Monkeys, you're walking right into their jungler.
Here's Anna Wintour. She's going to have to flag and drag out, but is she going to have the health to stay alive? Being burnt from that Leandre's Super Mega Death Rocket comes out. I don't believe it hit. It might, it did hit. It did hit Anna Wintour. She is kind of busted up and not going to be an easy Baron for them to play anymore. Pretty well impossible. They don't have that smite, and it just means Baron's going to be completely deleted from literal monkeys. They're still walking to that river, though. Not a good decision from TE Phantasm if they commit to it. They send a little bit of a steal, but Baron ultimately claimed from literal monkeys. What do you want to see off this Baron power play this time?
A 4-1. I've been talking about it all season in draft prep. We ran a 1-3-1, and I'll say it, I'm disappointed. But if we 4-1 and we pull the Malphite, we want the Swain to side lane because he's so strong. We want to pull the Malphite in as almost a way to trigger pull. Because if you're 3 minutes,
trigger pull, though. Cataclysm comes out. They completely almost shred Zoomer, but going golden saves their life. Antion able to find Anna Wintour. There is the Sky's Descent. It takes out Lilia as 90 Naked Cowboys trying to find anyone to root up. Swain in the middle, everything. XMB and Chinese having their own fight on the side, but Aesol got out of position, gets rooted up. There they go. XMB caught as well. It's just Grim Defer and Fox Stepbro to defend. If they go down, this game will surely be literal monkeys. Antion is chucked to half. But what can Zeri and Heimerdinger do against the onslaught of literal monkeys? The T3 turret going to fall. That inhib turret going to fall. Or the inhib itself going to fall as well. And it went to her almost back up. But they still look to be committed. They're looking to find an early season. They have, or series, they have the goal to do it. They're going to knock down the first Nexus turret. Jarvan back up. They're still in the base. Grim Defear trying to turn them away. They are leaving. Can they find anything on the way out? It doesn't look like it after that route, and they just did a lot of damage to the base of TE Phantasm.
Woo. And that is a tense moment, as it seems like Heimer and Zeri are too scary for monkeys to push through and end the game on. But what I was trying to say is that if you're stuck as 3 in the middle, the other team is allowed to pull their trigger and engage on you first. And that's what TE did. They realized that they were down a person on the mid lane, so they sent it with a Jarvan and they sent it with a Sion following up. And it looked good for them at first. I don't know how monkeys got out of that alive, because it just looked so winning. That's one of those fights you got to be looking back at and you say, hey guys, we did everything right, but the gold lead is just too much at this point. That was a really impressive attempt to stall out the game from TE, but it seems like monkeys are just struggling to find a way to end the game here. They're just struggling to find the right recipe to get the Nexus to explode.
Especially when they were engaging that base, it did look like Antion was very hesitant. Maybe if they committed right away, they might have got both Nexus turrets. Antion did seem to be the one who was trying to call their team to leave the base. Could they have taken that 4v3? It is possible. However, it's also risky, right? They lose that 2v3. They lose over 1,500 golden bounties. But right now they do find Grim Defer. Chinese Spy going off. Unstoppable Force. He's in there alone, but they're going to find it. There goes Zeri as the Ocean Dragon spawning in 26 seconds, but that doesn't matter. They still have Baron. There's a knock-up on Fox Stepbro. Fox Stepbro goes down. Not going to be able to see his steps in a while. The Drowsiness ready to go on XMB. Unstoppable pulled. They haven't pulled it out yet. Looking for more. They do pull the Drowsiness as they go golden. XMB gonna go down. They did find it on Aesol. Aesol getting took to half as we keep going. They are looking to kill Anna Wintour. Anna Wintour still gonna be up, but with so many minions in that base, is Aesol gonna be able to defend? That Nexus turret gonna go down? Almost certainly not, as they are caught out from MIT Zoomer. And there goes the Nexus. Wait, they do find Belby. They're cleaning up, stat padding the KDA a little bit more before they end the game. But this is going to be a 1-0 series so far for literal monkeys. You got to be happy with that, Pack-a-Paul.
I mean, I can't be disappointed. I can't be mad. We're scrappy. We fought a lot. It's crazy that the game ends off of Zeri, who's positioning pretty well all game. All of her deaths mostly came from team fights. And just Malphite walking up to her and calling game right there. After all of the Baron power plays, it's just this one misstep that really causes the final Nexus to explode. But overall, an intense moment, and I can still go to 3. I think that this was really scrappy, and I think that it was really hard to end the game here, even with a gold lead. What are your thoughts?
48 kills in 33 minutes. That is an intense number of deaths on a Rift in just half an hour. You're completely right when you say it. Your team and TE Phantasm, very scrappy people. They really went blow to blows. This game looked extremely close for a long time until literal monkeys found that team fight at Dragon Pit and really started to pull away in the gold. And like you said, Grim Defer got caught at the end there by Chinese Spy. A kind of a clash we didn't see for the majority of the game. But when it did happen, Chinese Spy made their mark and did find a way for Literal Monkeys to close out. It's going to be interesting with how scrappy both these teams are. I'm going to be interested to see if we get some earlier game picks from these teams. We've seen a lot of late game picks here. I'm curious to see what this next draft is going to look like, but we're going to go ahead and cut to intermission because you need to get back to Literal Monkeys to start drafting that second game. Don't go anywhere, Blue Otter Universe.